there, friends. It's Lauren, your coach for business, finance, and stewardship. Today, I'm going to share with you how to organize your business finances for easy and profitable cash flow management. Have you ever tried to bake cookies without using a recipe? I can remember the first time ever that I made chocolate chip cookies, and I was 12 or 13 years old, and my mom had this incredible recipe that she taught to me, only I forgot a key ingredient. When I looked at the batter, it looked a little not quite like cookie dough was supposed to look, but I thought, well, I think I followed the recipe. So I went ahead and I scooped this very liquid batter dough onto the baking sheet and put it in the oven. 5 minutes later, I smell a little smoke, and I think, okay, that's probably not a good sign. That's not how cookies are supposed to smell. And I go over to the oven, and instead of seeing cookies in the oven, I see a bubbling disaster. This sheet of cookies had turned into a glob of burning sugar, and it was just bubbling and smoking out the whole kitchen. So I had to turn off the oven, take that cookie pan out that contained just this mess of basically sugar lava, and I thought, well, what happened? I thought I followed the recipe. I thought I did everything I was supposed to do for delicious cookies. So that was very disappointing. But then I thought back and I thought about my steps that I had taken, and I realized something. I forgot to add the flour. Yes, the omission of that one simple ingredient ruined the entire batch of cookies. They were completely inedible. We had to start all over, but it was not only kind of a funny incident, but it was also a great lesson that one ingredient can change everything. And that is what the Profit First methodology is all about. It's all about making sure that you are not forgetting about profit in your business finances. Because when you don't intentionally plan for profit, your business finances are going to look like that bubbling cookie sheet of goo instead of the cookies that you're trying to bake. We want a thriving business, and at the center of every successful business is profit. You cannot have a business unless you have profit. And that is why I want to show you a really simple system for how to organize your finances and plan for profit. So not only is this going to make running your business a lot easier and managing the money so much easier, but you're also going to have more profit as a result, and that is a good thing. So let's dive in. This is going to be something where you can take action on this immediately. All right. This system was invented by Mike Michalowicz. He's a business expert, and he actually wrote the book Profit First. So after this video, I highly recommend that you go and read it too. It's a great book, and it'll explain everything in more detail, but I'm going to give you what you need to get started so you don't have to wait until you read the whole book before you can take action and really benefit from it. Here's how the system works. It's really predicated on the idea that as our revenue in business increases, so do our expenses. It's just the natural way to do things. There's a law called Parkinson's law, and it's kind of this law of human behavior that says that however much time you have to get something done, you're going to take up that amount of time. So if you have an 8-hour workday and you have 8 hours to get a certain number of tasks done, it's probably going to take you all 8 hours. But if you are suddenly met with an urgent deadline and you only have 2 hours to get it done, well, you know what? You can probably get it done in 2 hours because you are going to start applying that ingenuity, that resourcefulness, and that creative thinking to get the job done in less time. And you know what? It's the same with money. When we have more money, we find a way to fill it up. In our personal lives, we call that lifestyle creep. You earn more money, you start spending more of it, but you don't really feel like life has changed much. And it's the same in our businesses. We make more money in revenue, and so we find ways to spend that money. However, we need to constrain that amount that we're spending. We need to put a limit on it and be intentional about how much we're spending so that we can create more margin, and that's where you get profitability from. That's what the system is all about. And so, with that being said, let's dive into how to do this. So, your first step is going to be to open 5 business checking accounts. I know, this sounds crazy, but remember, we're following a recipe here and it's going to make sense once I explain it. You're going to open 5 business checking accounts, and don't waste your time going to a big bank. I did that and they looked at me cross-eyed, like they did not understand what I was asking them for. When I went in there and I said, yes, I would like 5 business checking accounts and I want no fees and I want no minimum balances. And they were like, we don't know how to do that. So I went to my local credit union and I told them, hi, I would like to open up 5 business checking accounts, and I would like to make sure that there are no fees ever and no minimum balances. And I was told, certainly, we would be happy to help you set that up. So very different response. So find a good local credit union. That's going to be your best bet for finding a bank that will do this for you. And what you can do is open up these 5 business bank accounts that are going to be free. They are going to have no fees and they're going to have no minimum balances on them, okay? Because you are going to be moving money between them, and some of them are going to go to zero on a regular basis. And here are what the 5 business bank accounts are for. The first one is for revenue. That is all of your money that you have coming into the business. All your revenue is going to go into one account, and that is the revenue account. Okay, then there are 4 other accounts, and you can think of the revenue account kind of like the platter on which the turkey dinner is served, and then the 4 plates are like the 4 people eating dinner, and that is where the money gets served out to, right? No one eats from the serving platter. It gets divided onto the different individual plates, and that's what we want to think of as revenue versus what all of the money is going to be for. So we are going to be intentionally dividing out your revenue among 4 different categories each month. And these 4 categories are, number 1, profit, because we're being intentional about profit. 2, operating expenses, and this is where all of your expenses are going to come out of. 3 is going to be your owner pay. So you as the owner, you get your own category, you get your own bank account. And then the 4th one is going to be for taxes. All right, so that being said, every business is going to be different. Your business might end up with more bank accounts. Your business might need to have a drip account if you have highs and lows in your revenue. Your business account might need to have a savings account if you are saving for something big. There's lots of different ways to adapt this system to make it work for you. But for now, just know that those 5 bank accounts are the 5 essential accounts that every business needs to have. Now, I've gotten this question before, but Lauren, isn't that a little excessive? Can't I just operate everything out of my one account that I already have? Can't I just do this on a spreadsheet and divide everything out on a spreadsheet and just keep track of it that way? Well, I'll tell you what. I used to do that and it did not work very well for me. And I've had clients try to do that and it hasn't worked out very well for them. The first reason is that when you are looking at the full amount of money in your business, it's really hard to emotionally separate those things. But when they're in separate business accounts, you have a lot more accountability to sticking to the plan. The second thing is you're a lot more prone to making mistakes. You're a lot more prone to just human error, and you don't want to do that when you're trying to get organized. And then the third thing is that I thought that by having more bank accounts, it would take me more time to manage my business finances, but actually it is saving me so much time compared to when I was using a spreadsheet. I just look on my bank account, I see how much money is there, I'm like, okay, we're good. It is so much easier and faster to manage your business finances when they are divided into these different accounts, and you're gonna love it. So it's kind of like investing the time into organizing your kitchen pantry. There's a little bit of work on the front end, but then once you have it, it's so much easier because it's much more organized. So yes, I strongly, strongly encourage you to actually open these 5 bank accounts. Okay, so moving on, what do we do after we open these bank accounts? Well, what you can do is start putting new revenue in this revenue account and dividing up the money into your different 4 accounts between your profit, operating expenses, your owner pay, and your taxes. With the old money, like before you implemented Profit First, you can gradually move that over, especially as you get accounts moved over, and it takes a little bit to sort of move everything over to new accounts, of course, and that's okay. Just know that starting from now on, you can put new revenue in the new account and start dividing up new money, and then sort of as you migrate accounts over, you can eventually shut down that old one and move the existing revenue over to kind of wherever you need it, depending on what really just makes the most sense for where you're at in your business. Okay, so this doesn't have to be like an instant switch kind of a situation. It's okay to get things set up and then to gradually move things over. And it shouldn't take more than 30 to 60 days to have everything sort of migrated and everything running pretty smoothly. Now, let's talk about percentages, because we're not just going to randomly be putting amounts of money into these different accounts. No, we're actually going to create target percentages so that depending on your revenue and also on your goals, you're putting a particular percentage into each of these categories. So let me just give you an example. In fact, you can Google Profit First percentages and you'll find a table of recommended percentages for your revenue amount. So I'm just going to run you through a quick example, okay? So let's say that you make $200,000 per year in revenue. I chose that number because it makes the math easy for me, okay? So here's what your recommended percentages are going to be: 5% profit, 15% taxes, 30% operating expenses, and 50% owner pay. Now, I will just deviate a little bit from that. My personal recommendation, what I like to do, and this is what I do in my business, is I make my owner pay 45% and I make my profit 10%, because of the goals that I have for my business. I want more in my profit account to accelerate my business a little bit faster. However, you get to be in charge of this. That's the best part of this system. It is not a hard and fast rule that you have to pay yourself 50% or 45% or whatever. Yes, the numbers have to work, but you get to adapt it to what works for you and your goals. You can see that on an annual basis, we're setting some targets. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Lauren, that doesn't help me, because we have to work in real time here. Like, we have revenue coming in every month, and it's not always the same every month. Don't worry, I got you covered. Okay, so here's how we're gonna do this thing. I know that your revenue is gonna fluctuate every month. It does for every single business, and that is okay. Here's another great thing about the Profit First system is that you can actually create more stability in your cash flow. No, you don't have control over, seasonality, where you have natural highs and lows in your revenue. One of the biggest advantages of the Profit First system is that it gives you the flexibility to be able to save money on those higher revenue months to help cover expenses and owner pay for the lower revenue months. So let me give you a little example. If you are a realtor and you live in a cold climate half the year, then you're probably going to see more business in the summer and less business in the winter. That is okay, but you have to know from your natural business cycle, how much do I typically make in the low season? How much do I typically make in the high season? From there, what you can do is estimate, okay, how much money would I really like to have in reserve? Like, what would I feel comfortable with that I know my operating expenses and my owner pay amount would be covered during those lower months? That is going to be your drip account goal. So this is actually going to be a bonus account, a separate account where you can put that drip account money, because we can let it drip as needed. It creates that steadiness, right? And so that way, when you have those really extra high months, even though, yes, you are dividing your revenue according to your profit first percentages, you're then going to take the excess beyond what you need in terms of dollar amount from your operating expense and your owner pay, and you're actually going to just move that on over, that extra on over to your drip account, so that you create that nice cushion for those lower months that you are projecting. And that way, you're always going to have a steady amount to cover your business expenses and to be able to pay yourself. Now, the other thing that might trip you up a little bit, so I'm going to give you some ways to work around this, are, okay, yeah, these target numbers are great, but I am nowhere near achieving those targets. For example, if your operating expenses, if you list them out and you're going, uh-oh, my expenses are double what they really should be. I can't pay myself 50% of my revenue. I can only pay myself 10 or 20% of my revenue, but I really want to get that up. I want to get my profits up, and I want to get my expenses down. Guess what? You don't have to do this all at once. So one thing that you can do is make a 4-quarter plan or a 6-quarter plan or an 8-quarter plan, and you set targets for making adjustments over time. So let's say that you've got 60% of your revenue going to expenses, and you want to hit that 30% target for your OPEX. That's a 30% difference, or it's a 50% difference, but you're going to go from 60% down to 30%. So let's say that we're going to make a 6-quarter plan to make those adjustments over time. And that's where you can start implementing some strategy and setting some smaller targets that are really achievable, where you can make small changes in your business over time so that you can get there. If this video was helpful for you, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can be sure not to miss any content. And please leave a comment, either just to say hi or to ask a question. I would love to answer those for you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.